Hey readers, reading roleplay here. We're going to continue our read of How to Roleplay the Hard Way. This is written by Shawn Driscoll. It's from Shonner Press. It's available for free on DriveThruRPG. And we're on chapter 2. Setting. Establish model. Written in stone. This can be an easy thing, at least for the players. They only have to roleplay their characters in the setting the runner has created for them. World building can be time consuming for the runner, though, because maps must be made, characters need to be generated, backstories need to be written, and quests need to be written. Lots of quests and lots of hooks. And then more characters need to be generated. Examples are monsters, bandits, pirates, space dragons, planet killers, and time travelers. Time travel serial killers are the worst things to keep notes of. Actually, there are worse things to keep track of that the characters might bump into during roleplay. The point is that with the established model, various locations in the setting can be used for roleplay without creating additional things on the spot. A disadvantage of using the established model is that characters might not visit any of the runner's well-designed locations. Instead, they may choose to travel elsewhere. Sandboxed model. Starting with nothing. The sandbox is the other style of gaming. It requires almost no prep work before a game session. The runner makes no maps, characters' quests, or backstories for anyone. There's one catch, though. During a game session, the runner has to world build around the players. Everyone narrates where their character is and what their character is attempting. As places, people, and things are described, they are added to the sandbox, which becomes the mindscape over time. If a game session is to be continued in the next game session, maps are likely drawn and referred to as locations for future world building by the runner. Mind map software can organize connections between characters, locations, items, and quests. Writing little notes about characters and places made up on the spot during a game session using images from Pinterest as reference is a good practice. The images might be shown later to the players, or they might not. Sometimes players will have images of things in their mindscapes already, so offering an image to them could jar how they imagined everything. A disadvantage to using the sandbox model is mental fatigue if a game session lasts too long. Established versus sandboxed. I am not a number. Technically, established settings can be sandboxed. However, even though a world is mapped out and its characters are fleshed out, it doesn't mean that characters are pigeonholed or used as cogs on gears. Players still have free will with their characters. Every town is a sandbox, every building, every dungeon, every railroad car. Choosing the setting. So what will it be? Science fiction? Horror? Fantasy? A lot of decisions need to be made, it seems, before even starting a game. That's true. Social contracts are mentioned. Using either an established or sandbox model for world building was talked about. So now is a good time to talk about setting. Choosing a setting is a huge deal because all the players will be knee-deep in it while role-playing. Players need to know the setting. They'll be creating their characters based on it. Technically, all role-playing games are fantasy, but for game purposes, the players will need to narrow down what kind of fantasy each is interested in role-playing. Often a setting will use two genres: sci-fi western, World War III Cthulhu, time travel hitmen, cyberpunk Camelot, space vampires, Viking cyborgs, Egyptian Mars, dieselpunk romance, techno noir, Legends of the Fallout. That list could be overdoing things. Imagine if setting used three genres. Such settings would have something called gonzo that begins to creep into them. Most role players prefer settings that are more likely to have existed or will exist eventually. During Halloween, players often feel like using a horror setting. During blockbuster season, players nearly always crave a cinematically epic setting. During Christmas, players will want a low-key, maybe a sleeper hit setting that's not stressful but is heartwarming and stays with the players after role-playing. For veteran role players, a new and exciting setting is always a plus, while for new role players, a setting they already understand is best practice. There's nothing worse than throwing complex, unheard of settings at players who are brand new to role-playing. The type of music players listen to can also trigger a setting of interest for the group. Setting the tone. Comfort zones. Players need to decide on a tone for the game session. It could come from the setting naturally or be something bolted on. The runner mustn't make it look like it's bolted on, though. Otherwise, feelings that generally happen during a game will be the wrong ones the players feel. They'll get mad if feelings are contrived for a scene. There are too many tones to choose from when deciding on one. Yes, one. An internet search will list them all for use in stories. A town will use one, a character will use one, even a simple object will use one. The players often agree on the tone written down in their social contract. It lets players know if the game session is something they would be comfortable playing. Setting the theme, morality plays. Players will sometimes want there to be meaning in a role-playing game session. For example, one theme could be the feeling of what it might be like knowing who the serial killer in a spaceport is, but your only proof is that you read it in the character's mind. And the use of psionics is banned in these parts. Meanwhile, the killer is also psionic and knows about you. Sci-fi settings handle such themes by default. Another theme for a sci-fi setting could be the characters encountering a 1,000-year-old fleet of living starships with AIs controlling them. The fleet wants to surrender for its war crimes to a homeworld whose civilization has long since died off or abandoned the planet, leaving an AI of its own behind to assign the fleet's next mission. In a supernatural setting, a ghost girl in the attic who isn't a girl but wants to be one could be another theme. Maybe all the characters for this game session will be ghosts in the house or the neighborhood. It could also be that the house is not a house. Setting the scope. How big is too big? Just as this book has a scope it tries to fit into, so should role-play game sessions. A runner can create an entire universe with places and things for the characters to encounter and roleplay with. That's all fine. The trick is for the runner not to info dump all their fine-crafted universe onto the players. The scope for a game session cuts out anything the characters will likely not encounter from the said universe. Role-playing focuses just on a scene with characters in it. If the entire game session will take place in a house containing some supernatural artifacts, that house is the scope. If the small town down the street from the house is visited, that small town becomes the scope until another building is entered, which would then become the scope, and so on. The scope can be thought of as just the area the characters see. Say a session starts with the characters inside an abandoned home. So far, the characters don't know where they are exactly yet. The scope expands as soon as one of the characters opens the curtains and looks out the window. If they see Earth on the horizon, eclipsing part of the sun behind it, the characters might assume they're on a terraformed moon, and that it's the future. And that's the end of Chapter 2. We'll go ahead and wrap there, and we'll finish, well, not finish, but we will continue with Chapter 3 on the next video. Thanks for watching.